Hello, everyone. I am Nicole Batiste, and I love what Leah shared because it really feeds into what I want to share as well. So, the risk of depression is 25 to 35% lower in people who eat a diet high in fruits, veggies, unprocessed grains, fish, seafood, and they eat very little amounts of lean meat and dairy. Now, we've heard stats like this a lot, but how many of us have actually heard that stat and then knew how to put a plan together to help them, feel better by what the foods that they choose to eat? Most of us really like, okay, great information. I don't know what to do with that. I'm glad that I could be less emotional and less depressed if I eat, in a better way. But how do you choose what to eat in a more sustainable way? And that's kind of what I want to talk to you about today. Because I help people who struggle to break habits and patterns of behavior that are no longer serving them. And one of the main things that people come to me for is to change their relationship with food because a lot of people have emotional eating challenges, cravings, and things like that. So I would love to go into the science of all of that because it starts from even before you were born, but we don't have time for that. That's a whole other class. So what I'm going to do is share some self-awareness techniques with you that can help shift some of your current patterns. So I call this a body recalibration protocol. And so to initiate it, you will first identify what are your current food rules. Like there are so many rules that we've bought into because that's just how it's always been. So some that you're going to be very familiar with are Easter equals chocolate. Um, what's October 31st coming up? Thanksgiving. I mean, not Thanksgiving, Halloween, that equals chocolate and candy. Birthdays, that equals cake. Uh, Thanksgiving and Christmas, that equals eat until you fall asleep. So those are like rules that we just like, it's just how it is, right? And then other rules, Taco Tuesday, pizza on Thursdays. That's a lot of people's normal rules. And while rules are not a bad thing, they actually help reduce some of the cognitive load. So at the end of the day, you don't even have to think about it. You just know this is what the rule is. This is what we do. We don't have to think about it. It's Tuesday. We're eating tacos. But how many times have we actually taken a step back and looked at the rules that we have bought into to see how they're actually still serving us? Are they? Are they still serving you? If so, great. If not, create some new ones. Create new rules, which could lead to a healthier mindset and a healthier mentality. Not to say that tacos and pizza and things are bad. It's just being mindful is the key. Like being mindful of how you feel when you eat certain foods. So that's the first part. And the next part is paying really close attention to your mindset when you're choosing the foods that you want to eat. Are you talking yourself into it because you've had a hard day, because you've had a great day, because you feel like crap, because you feel great? Like, why are you choosing to eat certain foods? That mindfulness piece helps when you're thinking about, am I doing this because of an emotional response, or am I doing this because I need the nutrients? A lot of times when we're in our emotional brains, we are not serving ourselves well with the foods that we choose to eat. So that is one way that you can start. And that's your salesman, by the way. Your salesman is the one that's like, yes, go for that because I want to feel better and that food makes me feel better. So it's understanding like how does your salesman talk you into choosing certain foods, cakes and sweets and all of that. Oh, I love mung bean. Right. So what does your salesman say? How does that salesman convince you that you should be eating this or eating that for this reason or that reason? Because if you think about it, if someone tells you when you go to that car lot, the salesman is going to say this, this, and this, and this, and he's going to try to get you to do this, that, and the other. And then you go to that car lot and you already know what he's going to say. He doesn't have as great an impact on you, right? So understanding how you, my puppy, how do you talk yourself into things and out of things? Knowing how you do that ahead of time, you can preempt that and not fall for the tricks that you can talk yourself into sometimes. Yes. I love that, Laura. Thank you. Um, and so after you start paying attention to that, also pay attention to your physical sensations. So a lot of times we associate the uplifted feeling with chocolate cake. When the actual dopamine hits, the dopamine, the happy hormone, that actually hits just from making a decision. But it's because the time frame between making that decision and eating that cake is so short, we don't recognize that it's not the cake. It's the fact that we actually made a decision to do something about how we're feeling. So pay attention to how you're feeling before you eat something, when you make a decision to eat something, while you're eating it, how you feel 30 minutes later, how do you feel right afterwards, how do you feel the next day. Think about all of that. Just become very keenly aware of all of that. And um, and that plays a huge role in watching how you can getting a handle on emotional eating. Apologize for the puppy. She decided that right now it's a good time to walk through the room. So the next thing is to really recalibrate your body. Thank you, Ricky. Recalibrate your body by doing like a whole reset, and not by letting yourself starve, but by eating nutrient dense, fresh foods, fruits, veggies. Um, Ideally, you stay in that raw area for the next 3 to 5 weeks, but some people can't do that. So eat like lean meats and just high nutrient foods for like 3 to 5 weeks straight. No additives, no preservatives, no caffeine. I know, right? Um, no alcohol, things like that. It just gives your body a complete reset without starving. And then you can really start to listen to the messages that your body's been trying to tell you. You will start to notice that you will actually have more energy without the caffeine. You will sleep better without the alcohol. You will have less brain fog. You will have a different take on things. Your cravings will be reduced or completely eliminated once you just 3 to 5 weeks of doing that. And your mindset will be better too, because you're getting all these extra nutrients that you weren't allowing yourself to have before. And you're removing all of the additives and all that stuff that preserves the food, but it doesn't preserve the body or the mind. So thank you. Thank you. Yes, pets too. This is very true, Jennifer. Thank you. And so after you've done that really quick recal, and you start to reintroduce the foods that you used to eat, if you so choose, that is when you really get to hear the salesman again. So the salesman will actually, in the beginning of the 3 to 5 week recalibration, your salesman will be screaming at you, especially like after week one, you're doing really good. The salesman will encourage you to celebrate with some of the things that you have chosen to pause for a moment. So really pay attention to that. Then once you start to reintroduce the foods back into your diet, really pay attention to what the salesman says, and also think about how you're feeling emotionally and physically again. Because when you're not physically well, so it can really mess with your emotional being, and vice versa, because everything is connected. So really pay attention to that voice in your head, that conversation. You may start to feel a little crazy because you're like battling yourself, but just really pay attention to it and decide from there, like, how do you want to feel? Because you will feel a lot different after that quick recalibration, and then you'll start to to reintroduce things, some people are really scared to start reintroducing things because they're like, I don't know how it's going to make me feel. But this reintroduction, you'll get to really, really hear what your body has been trying to tell you, but you couldn't hear it before because it was hard to associate that disease and discomfort with what you were eating because you had a lot of other stuff going on too. So that better eating, thank you. That better eating will help with stress because you'll be getting better sleep and more nutrients. So just this whole holistic approach. And then um, I already said that. At the end of that, notice your mood. Notice your mood, how you were feeling before you started the whole recalibration protocol, and then notice how you're feeling afterwards. One of my favorite stories in the health coaching program that I went through was a young girl who was having psychotic episodes a lot. She was like 12 years old, and the docs put her on meds. The docs put her in a hospital, and one day the parents decided to go to a functional medicine doc who, of course, functional medicine docs, they start at the very beginning, like before you are even conceived, like how mom's was feeling, what was going on during her life, and then while you were in the womb, what was going on during her life. Like all that plays a role in how you handle stress and how you eat and things like that. So the functional medicine doc discovered that the young lady was low on vitamin B12. And when they got her B12 back up to normal, she had no more psychotic episodes. That is how important food is to your mental health. So really just think about that. Like, how do you want to feel? And if you're in a place where you're thinking about having a child, like you are literally creating, like helping them with the way they're going to deal with stress because it really affects the brain. So that is how you preempt the salesman. And that is how you create new rules because it's going to be based on what you want your future self to feel and be and experience. So that is all I have.